Welcome to Reviving Every Daughter. My name is Lorraine Beaumont. In today's video, we're going to talk about the power of writing. It's so powerful to be able to go and write down what God has spoken to you and bring out the purpose and destiny for your life. Hey, welcome to my YouTube channel, and in today's video we're going to talk about the power of writing. It's so important, and I'm just going to talk about a little bit about my testimony about writing. It's been a journey of my life. I've been writing for over maybe since I was a teenager and now in my 30s. So it's not just about diarying or just privately writing things down, but there's more to it. So there's a difference between what it is a diary and journaling, and many people get that really confused, and today we're going to dig up a little bit into it. It's so important that we're like, what is actually a diary? A diary is meant to keep things in secret, like hold it for no one to see it, and that's not really the purpose of writing down those gems that God gives us, when we're praying and when we're meditating on what our purpose is. And so a diary is meant to write things down and just keep it and no one to see. It's like a lock. It's like a secret garden. But a journal, which I'm going to share with you guys a little bit of my journal, it's about logging things. It's keeping record of things that God has whispered to you, whether it was in prayer, or maybe suddenly when you're walking down in a park and I don't know where you just get this idea. That's where you log it down. You write down the date. You know why? Because usually those thoughts and those little things or inspirations come from God, and He's just giving you little seeds of purpose. So when God speaks to me, I'm just going to share how He speaks to me. I can journal right at night, and He's beginning to speak to me, and I begin to write things down. I'm going to share with you something just really quickly on my personal journal that I use one journal throughout a year. Meaning I have this journal that I use for 2019. This is the full year of journaling down things. And, it can be creative. It doesn't have to be just logging things down and writing a date. It could actually be you drawing something out. You saw it in your imagination and you just draw things because God is speaking to you. So that's important. I want to reiterate the importance of what is a diary and what's a journal, because many people get it really confused, and it shouldn't be kept a secret. What God has spoken to you, those purposes, those things are actually your purpose coming alive. We don't need to keep those things in secret. We have to confess them. And today we're going to just really reiterate that, because I don't want many people to say, hey, Lorraine, I'm diarying and just keeping things secret. No, you want to share it. You want to share it with God in your private time with God, because those things are important for you to go and pray. Hey, God, I heard this from you. Hey, you said about, let's say, you're going to heal my heart. You're the queen. You're important. I'm your dad, and I'm going to speak to you. So little things that I do, I draw little things. I become very creative in my writing, and so I just grab my color pencils and I begin to express myself in what God has whispered to me, and that's my outlet. And many of us, there is so much power in writing. Because it really begins to highlight your purpose. So today we're going to do practical things. There's 3 steps that we're going to talk about, and these practical steps and how to really walk in knowing what is writing with power and partnering with God and what He's saying about you. So number 1, really buy yourself a journal. That's an activation for you. It is a practical way. You can go and buy a regular journal like this, and I'll share the link below in description in the video. Go to different stores and find yourself a journal that speaks out to you. Be creative. Find one that speaks to you. And that's so important, because when you partner with God, He begins to speak to you. He begins to whisper things to you. He begins to say things that only you can. So that's number 1. You're going to go and buy yourself a journal. Number 2, you're going to do a little homework with me. You're going to write down 10 things that God has promised you, things he's spoken to you. Maybe it's a new business and he said, hey, I want you to do it. Little things, I want you to write those 10 things down. All right? And number 3, you're going to activate those promises, those 10 things. How do you do that, Lorraine? You're going to do that by looking at those 10 promises, those 10 things you've written down in your journal. And you're going to partner with God and you're going to tell him, God, these 10 things that I wrote down, you've spoken to them to me either in dreams or in my imagination. And I ask you to give me the wisdom. How do I get to those dreams? How do I partner with them so that I can fulfill them? It's so important to partner with God. Without God, there's nothing. There's no power. There's no power in what you're writing. You need substance, and that's so important. The substance that we're talking about, it's faith. You need to activate that faith, right? I'm going to read to you Habakkuk 2:2, and this is an awesome place of an example that the Bible talks about writing things down, okay? Habakkuk 2:2 says, Then the Lord answered and said, Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. That he may run who reads it. That's an activation. You must write the vision down. You must write those things that he's promised to you down in that journal. Why? Because you know what? What happens is when we write things down, you make a commitment at that moment that there's like a contract that you've made with yourself. That what I've written down, it's become real. It's partnership because it's paper. It's not something that's in our imagination. It's not just in a thought. It's not just an emotion. It's something that I've written down and I looked at it and I written with pen and I said, whoa, this is something that I'm believing for. This is something that God spoke to me in a dream. This is the moment that, hey, for me to open a business, could it be that me just partnering, making a contract, saying, hey, I'm believing because God said and he promised me that. That's so important that when we write things down, you're not just writing them to write them. It's actually a contract that you're going with yourself and activating the faith in God that those things are going to happen because he says so. All right, just a bit of a testimony of how powerful writing things down. I've been writing since a teenager, that's what I said before. So I've been doing it throughout many years, many decades of my life. And what I've noticed that when I begin to write things down, I've noticed that when I write things down and I let them just, they just let them go and I just come back to them and I begin to reread what I've written down and those promises of God, I've realized that those promises have taken place and those things have already happened. Why? Because not that I have forgotten about them, I actually prayed for them. I prayed for the salvation of my family. I prayed for blessings, whether it's financial blessings, and I written them down. I spoke about, hey, God, I want this particular job or this thing to happen. And as I partner with God and me writing them down, and it's become so tangible, what's happened is occurring this faith, this ability for me to see things even when I can't see it at that present moment. That's so powerful. When you write, you're actually creating something. You know what? There's a definition about penmanship. Penmanship means it's an art of writing. It's a particular art. It's like you're creating a canvas. And writing is a canvas. So a paper, in particular a journal, becomes your canvas. You grab a pen, you begin to write, and you begin to create that which is unseen to be seen one day. That's so important. So the power of writing is so important. I want to reiterate those 3 steps one more time. Number 1, it's go buy yourself a journal. Number 2 is how do you start? Just write 10 things that you believe that God has spoken to you. Those 10 promises. Write them down. Grab the first page of your journal and begin to write them down. And when those things begin to happen, you're going to write the date next to them or check them out or cross them out, whatever works for you. And number 3, you're going to reread them. You're going to refocus your attention and partner with God. Partnering with God is the best thing because you begin to look at them and you take that journal, go into the secret place, which is the prayer place. You're going to pray it for them and watch how they unravel. watch it throughout those months and those maybe years, that those promises, those things you written down in your journal come to pass. That's so important because it's happened to me in my walk, that I've seen the importance of writing things down and creating with God. The power of writing has been something in my life so personal. I'm sharing something very personal with you because I realized that people stop dreaming. They stop believing in themselves. They stop visioning things. They just begin to live a life mundanely. They begin to just forget about those childhood dreams. And that's not true. God wants you to dream. He wants you to believe and be creative with your writing. And that's why journaling is so different than just a particular diary. So I want you to dream. I want you to be encouraged today to know that you can do this. You're capable, you're able to create is writing. It's the ability of writing things down. So today, whether maybe you're watching this video and maybe you're encouraged, I'm going to go buy myself a journal. Why not start today? Why not push yourself and knowing that you have a purpose? So I want you to be encouraged. I want you to dream with God and be creative with God. The art of penmanship is within you. You can create, you can believe with God. And what actually happens is that you begin to write things down, and you're going to see in the next maybe few months or things begin to unravel because you begin to have this faith inside of you that anything is possible. With God, anything is possible. And I've seen it in my life, and why not believe it for your life? Maybe you're saying, hey, Lorraine, I don't have a purpose. I feel lost. I feel without identity. And you know what? I felt the same way. I felt discouraged. And what happens when I write my feelings down, I begin to let go of those feelings. I begin to let go of the feelings of distress, of chaos, and letting go of those things that are not godly. Those feelings of feeling you're depressed and distressed is not godly. So when you begin to write those things down, hey, I feel this way, I feel the other way. And then something happens when you begin to write things down. It transitions. It's like a particular transition happens when you're writing. Watch how your writing of distress completely changes when you let go. And then this just release happens and you begin to see the light in your writing. You begin to maybe draw out of maybe at that moment. You begin to just describe how you're feeling, how you want to feel. And then it just begins to share life inside of you. Life. And life is so good and so fresh of air. And I want you to know that today is a time to journal. It's a time of writing things down. And know that you are not alone and we're in this together. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe and like, and make sure to click on the bell button so that you can get notified for future videos. Thank you so much.